You guys know what the Golden State Warriors record is since they traded for Jimmy Butler? So the trade happened on February 5th. I think the trade deadline was February 6th. And the trade deadline, the Golden State Warriors made a trade the day before. At that time, the Golden State Warriors had a record of 25-25. They sat tied for the number 9 seed in the Western Conference. Since they traded for Jimmy Butler, they're 19-6 overall with Jimmy. They've moved up, obviously, up to the number 5 seed. And I know, you'd lose 2 games in a row, you could fall all the way back to the 8 or something along those lines. But their record, I'm gonna have to ask Anthony about this, but I saw a couple different stats on this. I believe they are now 18-2 when Jimmy and Steph play together. Warriors are balling. And, there's something about Golden State. And again, this is a preference. I'm sure both franchises would prefer not to play each other in the first round, while the NBA is salivating. The NBA is like, oh, no, we'll take that. The NBA probably wouldn't even show some of the other games in the Eastern Conference in the first round. They would just have a 3-hour preview of Lakers and the Warriors for Game 2 coming up. The NBA would love to see some Lakers-Warriors. I don't know. Maybe they want to see them a little bit later in the playoffs. But there's a reason why you look at the Golden State Warriors differently now that they got Jimmy Butler. And obviously their record speaks for itself. All of a sudden they're playing really good ball. They were a team that was, like I said, hovering around 500. And now they've put themselves in a position, just looking at the standings to see what their overall record is. They're 13 games over 500. They got championship pedigree. And I think that's the difference. And this is when you talk about teams going into the playoffs, you give certain teams an advantage and you have question marks about other teams. And you know what the foundation of those question marks are? The foundations are, have you been there before and have you done it? It's why we give Denver more credit than they probably deserve, even though they won a chip 2 years ago, but they lost some key role players, but they've won a chip. Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Nikola Jokic, Michael Malone. That when push comes to shove, that's a team that's been there before and has done it. That go to the Eastern Conference. Does it really matter what the Boston Celtics record is by the time the regular season is done? No, it doesn't matter. By the way, they're, I think, 30-something games over 500. They're phenomenal. But it's why you give them credit over Cleveland, because Cleveland's never done it before. This is what makes the Golden State Warriors the Golden State Warriors. They've been there. Steph has chips. Steve Kerr has chips. Draymond Green has chips. Jimmy Butler has been a key piece, the best player on a team that's got to the NBA Finals twice in the Eastern Conference with the Miami Heat, with honestly teams that should not have been in the NBA Finals. That dude, without actually having a ring on his finger, is as close to a champion as you can be, and he's obviously joining a crew now that has championships. Lakers, okay. Does anybody need to explain anything to LeBron James of what it means to go win an NBA championship, get to the NBA Finals? Of course you don't. After that, listen, it is thin. It's not like the Lakers have all these guys that were on the roster from 2020. Obviously, Anthony Davis isn't there as well. I think you do have a Luka Doncic that's probably saying to himself that he feels disrespected, embarrassed. Dallas traded him. He got to the NBA Finals last year. Obviously has a chip on his shoulder, but that, I think, is what makes this game so interesting tonight, what makes this matchup so interesting tonight. And I think it's what makes the Golden State Warriors so dangerous. They're ready to go for this playoff run. I don't know how long it's going to go. I know Klay Thompson's not there anymore. I know Andre Iguodala's not there anymore. I know there's players, obviously, that they don't have from their championship teams, or Andrew Wiggins, if you want to look back when they beat the Boston Celtics. But they got a squad. So tonight should be a really, really fun game, and I think that's why you look at the Golden State Warriors completely different now. This isn't a team that's just praying to get in, knowing they're going to be out in the first round. This is a team that's kind of feasting. They're feeling themselves. Their chest is out, and it should be out. And that's why I think we got a good one coming up tonight. What do you expect tonight? I think, it's kind of funny. Sometimes when I see expectations from when you kind of see from an expectation perspective, and people will say, oh, they don't want to show their cards or this or that. Both teams need the W. I don't think there's a hold back anything in a game like tonight.
No, there can't be. And I would say the Warriors have been like really throttling up their like game planning and practicing for a veteran team. It's a team that they are on, like I said, day 14 of a 14-day road trip, but they practice a bunch. They are going to have a shoot around this morning that I know is going to bleed long, just like it did in Memphis, because as Steve Kerr has said, they're starting to implement more like playoff style specific game plans that in January, and when you're in Detroit or whatever, oftentimes it's like, no shoot today, no specific game plan, just go out, try to win the game, whatever. Like, no, this is going to be schemed up like it's a play-in game or a game one of a series on both sides. And guys are going to play. That's the other thing. Like Jimmy Butler in the Memphis game, Zach Edey came down and stepped on his foot, and he's howling on the ground for about 10 seconds and limping around for the next 2 minutes. And then I see him in the locker room, and it's hurting, right? His left foot, his left ankle's hurting. And I think if the stakes aren't what they are, you would see him on the injury report either as questionable or as out. Especially in a back-to-back, his age, 35 years old. Like, no, he's playing tonight. LeBron's playing tonight. Luka's playing tonight. Steph, who, fell hard on his tailbone a week ago. He's wearing like a plate right now on his back, like a butt pad almost. Like, if this game didn't mean that much, he might not play. Or he'd sit one side of this back-to-back. You can't do that right now.
Yeah.
Because not only do you want your season to not be on the line in the play-in bracket, but also, as the Warriors have mentioned, I know the Lakers feel this too, you really want that week off before the playoffs for rest and preparation. You avoid the play-in, that means you play the last Sunday of the regular season, and then you will not play game one until the next Saturday, Sunday. You can prep and rest for that. If you're in the play-in, you're playing a big Tuesday, Wednesday night fierce game to try to get the 7 seed. You lose that, you're doing a Friday night season on the line game, and even if you win that, you're going into Oklahoma City 2 nights later for game one to probably just get smoked. So that's what's on the line right now, right? Avoiding that disaster scenario. So yeah, they're gonna come out steaming. You're not going, let's not use this scheme because we don't want the Lakers to see this for game one of a theoretical 4-5 series, which might play itself out. But you just can't think like that, right?
All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.